Hey, welcome back. I'm so excited that you're here because we're talking about summer break. And, every June, end of May comes around, and moms are feeling like this, whew, like this whole exhale. We're done for the year. We can take a summer break, and we feel like we need it. But what I want you to think about today is why that's not coming from learning. It's coming from something else, and how that can actually change your entire fall and the entire next year, and what that looks like, and not to have to feel that, oh my gosh, thank gosh we're done kind of feeling again. See, I have this brand new member in our Inspiring Lifelong Learning Academy, and they are an awesome family. This mom is just pulled her kids out of school. She actually pulled them out 4 weeks ago, and she's in her first month of homeschooling. And what I really love about it is that she was able to take advantage of just something that popped up in their life. They were able to take advantage of a paid camping trip basically for like 6 weeks. This is so exciting because what happened is that something completely shifted. These are public school kids, and they know all the management of learning. They know all the structure. They know all the expectations of public school learning. And then she took them out, and they were able to go on this camping trip, and with no curriculum, no direction other than what we've talked about in her Love of Learning Reset, since they started working with me. This is been an amazing journey for them. I hear from them all the time. In fact, I heard from them just today in what they're doing and what they're learning. And she said, we are learning so much more than the kids ever did in school. They're excited, they're having fun, and it's just part of what we do. Do you need a break from learning for that? See, what I want you to think about is that the learning is not the thing you need the break from. It's actually the management of learning that you need the break from, because that's exhausting. It's telling you that all the reminders, all the heaviness that you carry about owning you are the manager of this whole endeavor of homeschool. You are the manager of the learning. That's hard. It's hard. It really is. And you feel the emotional weight of it. You feel like everybody has to check the boxes, get the stuff done. You carry like that motivation that comes from you. Come on, guys, we got to do this before we can go do something else. And that's exactly what they were doing, this family that I'm talking about, in their school days before they started this journey. And it is so amazing to watch their transformation already into just the first 4 weeks. And it is blown their minds. They've been able to come together as a family, and they're starting to reset all those kids and the parents' learning expectations and things like that too. I'm going to share with you more about that in a second and how that all works. But first, I want to just have you think about the difference between what's happening with the learning and your role in it. Because that's all this mama changed. She changed her role from managing all the school things, all the learning, to mentoring. And it's a completely different shift. If you feel like, oh, I got to take a break for summer. Oh my gosh, we're finally done. We made it through. That's managing. That's managing. And you feel like you're like, we need the break. I hear that from moms all the time. I hear that from moms that are my friends that are homeschooling, and they say, we always take a summer break because we all need a break from learning. Do you really need a break from learning, or do you need a break from the management of the learning and all the things that go with that? The complaining, the frustration, the stress, the need to check the boxes, what I call the educational should. Do you need a break from all of that? Or do you need a break from learning? Because learning is actually really fun, and it can be. And you could still learn way more. We have to think about what our role is in that, and how we're facilitating, and how we're creating the culture in our home for the learning, okay? So even if you've had a really hard year, and you feel like, I just need a break. What I'm about to share with you about summer can really be a game changer and how fall starts up for you. You can change your role. Even if you've had a decent year, like everybody did their work, but it felt just flat. It didn't feel exciting. I just talked with a mama a few weeks ago about the same thing. She's like, we've been homeschooling and it's okay. But I feel like they should be having more fun. I feel like we should all be having more fun. Like there should be curiosity. There should be some laughter, some hunger. And there's not a lot of that. A little bit. Even this mom's daughter said, I feel like we should be having more fun with this, Mom. That's a signal that you're managing and you're not mentoring. You're doing the checking the boxes there. Even if you've been homeschooling for years and you're like, yeah, we just have our thing. As you've gone in through year after year, you're like, man, it just doesn't feel as fun as it used to. Maybe you started out awesome, but it just doesn't feel as fun as it used to. It doesn't feel as easy as it used to. It feels a little harder. You might really want to think about what I'm going to share today. And if you're brand new to homeschooling and you're like, oh, I do not want this to happen to us, this is going to be really, really important for you because the learning isn't the signal, it's the exhaustion. Does that make sense? It's the exhaustion from managing all of that. Now, managing is really, really normal. It's totally normal because that's what we know from school. That's what we know from our own experience. That's really what society teaches us. A lot of management. Society doesn't teach us mentoring. It's not something that's like your fault. It's really what is taught everywhere and surrounding us all the time. So when you're thinking like, oh, did you finish your work? You know, that's your homeschool day, and your homeschool day is like, did you finish your work? You need to sit down and focus. You need to finish this before we do that. And that constant correction, the reminders, the follow-ups, if all of that is happening all the time, it is very draining. You know it. You know what that feels like. And it can be super exhausting. And that needs a break. Yeah, you might need a break from that for sure. The problem is that when you do that, not only is it exhausting for you, but it's exhausting for the kids, and love of learning is low. And when love of learning is low, everything is harder. And also, even if they're complying and they're like, well, they do it, who owns their learning? I know that's a big question to think about because when you're managing the learning, you own it. You own their learning, right? That's what happens in school. We own their learning. Teachers, meaning we, because I'm a teacher. I was a teacher. And so we own that learning. The kids don't own it. The goal for managing is let's just get through it. I used to tell my students that in public school. I used to say, guys, you just got to get through it. You just got to play the game. How sad is that? That's not real learning. That's not them owning the learning. And so their natural response is resistance. Their natural response is like, I don't want any of that. And when we manage all year long and we're doing that all year long, we just need a break from all of the school and the management and the frustration. We need a break from all of that. It feels really exhausting and we just are like, whew, summer, thank goodness, right? I hear this from moms all the time. Moms I talk to in every single stage of homeschooling. Oh gosh, we just got to get through May. We just got to get through May into June and we're done. And that's it. And so what mentoring looks like instead, though, is mentoring is more of a guide who directs, is more of somebody who listens and includes the learner in the planning of the learning and in the strategy of all of it, and doesn't control all of the outcomes. So this is something that's hard for a lot of us to do because we've not been taught this. And this is exactly what I love to do because this is something where when you take on that mentoring role, everything is so different. You have higher curiosity, you have higher love of learning. Your day feels a lot lighter. It just feels more easy and more fun. And then your kids can actually own their own learning. What? What? And it comes from them instead of coming from you. Does that make sense? Woo! It is awesome when that happens. I love it. And what that looks like is in daily life, it's like, what do you want to figure out today? What are questions you have? Or when the kids ask a question, you run rabbit trails, you do a lot of other things. But you have to create routines and culture around that. And you have to do a little bit of resetting at first. It's not just us standing over our kids, it's really including them in everything. And they're going to be resistant to that a little bit at first because they're not used to it. And it's weird, right? It's weird. That's not what they're used to. And if you've been doing a lot of box checking, a lot of managing, they're like, what? Well, I don't understand. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't mean that they're broken. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that we need to do some things to reset all of that. And so when we actually are doing the mentoring, we don't feel like we need a break. It becomes part of our family. Learning is just what we do. That's something that my son said a while back when I had him on the podcast, and I asked him, what did we do to help you become a lifelong learner? And he was like, I don't know. I guess it's just what we do. And I'm like, exactly. Learning is just what we do. And you don't need a break from that. That's awesome. That's super fun. But if learning is always coming from me, it's always coming from a management point, then I'm going to be exhausted. They're going to be exhausted and nobody's having any fun. And yeah, we're going to need a break from that. So if you stop being the source of all the motivation, that's when the kids start taking on some of that. But we have to create a whole reset and a culture around that because we automatically normally go back into it. So it's very important for us to be intentional about that. And we can do that during the summer. See, the summer isn't we're not going to learn this summer, right? We're going to take a break from learning. Let's not do that. We're going to learn and be totally fun and just be very intentional about what it looks like in your home, around your home, wherever you go on vacation. And so I'm going to give you a couple of things to do and to focus on this summer so that when you go into fall, it's not like, we're back in the management. We have to sit down and focus on our textbooks. It's not that. It looks totally different, and the motivation is coming from your kids, not from you. I know it sounds crazy, but it's completely possible. And this is so fun when it happens, when your kids ask to do things. I had one of our other Inspiring Lifelong Learning Academy members just this week. She told me that her daughter they were looking at this program that I had mentioned to them, and they were like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And she asked her daughter, her 14-year-old, say, like, what do you think about this? Do you think you're ready? And this daughter had hated learning when we first started. They were arguing, frustrated every single day. If you read the newsletter this week, you know about that story. And her daughter said, yeah, oh yeah, I'm ready for that. I want that. What? Who says that? That's amazing. And it can look like that for you too. I want you to spend the summer rebuilding that love of learning again, resetting learning expectations, taking the pressure off and having fun with learning, and resetting not only their learning expectations. So when they see a book, they don't go, right? We got to reset those learning expectations. But when they realize they're learning and then that was fun, what? That's crazy. And you have to set yours too, especially if you've been managing for a long time. You have a lot of baggage around the management part. I did the same thing when we were first starting, and we ended up both crying every day after 2 weeks because we both anticipated the struggle, and we anticipated what that was going to look like, and it wasn't positive. We have to change that. We have to turn it around. And the third thing I want you to do this summer is I want you to rebuild your relationship with your kids, with each other, with with the parents, and all the family relationships. Rebuild those into really tight relationships. That's what this mom is doing that's on this month-long camping trip right now. They are in a small trailer and they've got 5 people in their family, and it's just very cool. She's like, we're in this tight space and we have to learn to get along. We have to learn to do things together and work as a team. I love how she says that. She always says we have to learn how to work as a team, and we are a team. And she tells her kids that. And it's so fun to watch them really change their relationships and set new learning expectations and have that curiosity actually come out. It's so fun. She didn't plan any of this. This wasn't in the plan, but this opportunity came and she just grabbed it and was like, yes. And even if you don't have something like that, so let's say you're not going on a camping trip for a month, you can still do this. This is still part of our reset. And there's more to this reset that's a little bit more intentional that I teach in the Love of Learning reset as part of the Inspiring Life and Learning Academy. But this is what it's a small picture of what the culture that you're building looks like. And then when you get into fall, oh my gosh, it's going to be a totally different story. You won't feel like, I know it's coming. The frustration is coming. First day of school, so many moms, the frustration, the like, oh, we're just going to ease into it. But then we start off with the box checking, even just a little bit, and it triggers that learning expectation that you and the kids had before you stopped for your summer break. See, if you don't do anything different and you don't reset, then it's going to look the same. It's going to feel like that heavy management. It's going to feel like it's all on you when it doesn't have to be. And actually, more learning happens when you're not in that situation. And this isn't just for when the years are hard. This structure, this reset, it is not just when you feel like, oh, that was the worst year ever. Maybe your year was fine and you got through everything and everybody's like, okay, this is just what we do. And maybe nothing really fell apart. But I want you to ask yourself a few questions here. I want you to ask yourself, did learning feel like something your kids wanted to do or something they had to get through? I remember early on when I was first mentoring homeschool families, and the first few years, there was this young family, and they had this really amazing 7-year-old, and he was doing 3 math classes a week, like different math classes, different types of math. And it was very advanced. And they're like, oh, well, he just is really good at math. And so we keep putting him in more classes. And I was like, well, but does he love them? And they're like, well, he does them. Do you see the difference? He does them versus does he love them? That's a question I ask a lot to moms. Like they're saying, well, we do this and we do that and we do that. And okay, well, what is their reaction when you do that? Do they complain? Do they like, woo, let's do it. Woo, let's go. Or are they just, okay, all right, let's do it. What is that, right? So think about that. And then the second question is, did you feel like a mentor or did you feel like more of a manager this year? And then the third question is learning part of your family's identity? Is it just what you do, or is it part of your schedule and something that's super? I'm not saying you can't have learning part of your schedule, because you do need some structure. But the structure, I think what you think structure looks like as a manager versus what you think structure as a mentor looks like is very different. Very, very different. So what I think about when I think of a manager in a schedule is I'm scheduling like specific, we're doing page 3, page 4, and page 5 in this amount of time, whatever. And then we're going to go on to this. This is for that. We don't have to be that specific, but we do still need some structure. I'm not saying throw structure out the window, but I am saying, where is it coming from? Where is all of that coming from? Is it coming from you or is it coming from them? Not to say that all of it will come from them at first, because it won't, but we build it in so that over time it does. And that's when you get, like what I told you earlier, the other mom that I told you about that was really, they were fighting all the time. And now she says, oh, I'm ready for this learning program. This is going to be fun. And it's actually harder and more challenging than she's ever done, but she's ready for it. That's exciting. I love it. So When learning is just what your family does, wherever you're at, wherever you're traveling or dinner or in the summer, whatever you're playing outside, that is a learning culture. That is something that we really want to create. That's what a mentor builds. And summer is the best time to do it. So if you feel like you needed a break, you feel like, thank gosh, it's summertime. We're going to take a break from learning. I want you to just retrack and think really about, is it the learning we need break from, or is it the way that we've been doing it and the role that I've been playing in that? And I'm not trying to call you out because I tell you, I've done it. And almost every single mom that I've talked to or worked with has done the same thing at some point. So don't feel like you're don't feel like you're out in the weeds, you're the only one, because you're not. It's totally normal. We just have to think about and do things a little differently and be more intentional. And there's a specific way that we do that. And that makes sense to you and you're like, man, I need that. I need to feel less weight, the managing weight on my shoulders all the time. Because let's face it, we have to manage our household, right? We have to manage the chores, the activities, all these other things. Do we really need to manage the learning too? No, we don't. And it's so much more fun and easier when that happens and you're not managing it, you're mentoring it. Mentoring is at a higher level than managing. And it's so much more fun when you do because the kids are excited and it comes from them and then they own their own education and they're ready for the world. It's amazing. So, if that makes sense to you, I'm actually going to talk about that in the Inspiring Lifelong Learners Masterclass this Thursday, May 21st. And I want you to think about that and think about, what do I need right now? Do we feel like we ended the year in a place where everything is coming from them? It's joyful. They wanted to do things, or is it coming from a different place? And if it's coming from a different place, I'm going through the entire step by step on how to start reframing that and the love of learning reset in the masterclass this week. So look in the show notes. There's a link to it in there. And wherever you're watching or listening to this, you can get into that masterclass. It's this Thursday. And if you missed this one, check the website again after this one's over on the 21st, and it will be updated onto when the next one will be. Because you guys can do this. This is going to be so fun. When you reset that, and you will have such a better, fresh, light feeling, easier perspective about learning. Your whole family will, and you'll be in a totally different groove for next year. That's what summer break can do when you're mentoring, not managing. All right, I will see you in the masterclass, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.